r/Nosleep. Posted by Reddit user G_A93. The guard dog at the abandoned seaside hotel.
Hey pussy, I bet you won't go down Murdy Hill, no slowing down. Jimmy roared at Anthony. The boys were out, enjoying a day of typical preteen activities. Beating their chest and trying to show off for each other. Fuck off. You know my bike's a piece of shit. Besides, it's not like your chicken shit ass is gonna ride down. Anthony laughed. The boys rode off and enjoyed their day, living life as every young man should. Free and full of life. They took a break to enjoy a bite at Grub Shack. As they were stuffing their faces with fries, Jimmy piped up about something that would forever change their worlds. Hey, you want to talk chicken shits? You hear about Butch and his merry band of pussies backed out of heading into the old seaside hotel? And in front of half the school. What a fucking merry, Anthony said, letting out a hearty laugh. The seaside hotel was a ghastly old hotel near Clifton's beach. The place was the last remaining building of the old Main Street. The entire building, once a vibrant white, was now yellow-stained and decrepit. There was nothing wrong with it. No murder mystery, no exorcist was performed. Nothing. Just the hotel, whose best years were behind it. But that didn't stop everyone in town to make up a story about it. So, how much would it take for you to go in, Jimbo? Anthony casually asked, mouthful of salty fries before he washed it down with an ice cold Coke. Pay? Why not just go in for free? Chicken? Jim retorted. Anthony knew in his heart he wanted no business going in anywhere that was off limits. For as much as these boys messed around, they were good kids. Although Jim definitely was more inclined to partake in reckless behavior. Jesus, it's always insults with you, isn't it? I'm not scared, I'm just what? Jim yelled, half snickering while he tossed away his trash. Jim had a way of convincing and insulting you. All it took was a bit of mild bullying, and Anthony's natural macho inclinations led him right in front of the double-door entrance to the seaside hotel. The boys looked meekly at the enormous waste of space. They were both terrified internally, but would never admit it. Time felt like it was standing still before Jim broke the tension. Hey, are we doing this or not? 'Cause if not, I got a date with your sister at 7. Jim grinned. He had a very distinct smile, very toothy. Surprising since Jim chipped away one of his teeth on an adventure with Anthony just weeks earlier. Anthony socked Jim in the arm with a grin and motioned to go inside the abandoned death trap. Upon entering, the boys noted there was some equipment left over. Naturally, they began screwing around with the decor, running bellhop rigs up and down the main floor, pretending to answer calls from everyone in town. Jim even found an old pin from the hotel and stuck it on his shirt. For a moment, the boys' needs to have a bit of reckless fun was met. And then... Hey, Anthony. Did you hear that? What? A low rumble from one of the halls came. A cross between a dog and a man maybe pretending to be one. The boys peeked their heads around the corner to investigate. The rumble had died down a bit. The noise was harder to categorize. Hey, we should bail, Jimbo. I don't like this, Anthony said cowardly. Dude, it sounds like maybe a dog? If it's a dog, we need to help it. What if it's stuck and it can't get out? They're gonna blow this place any day now. We can't leave it here, Jim said, always having a heart for animals. Anthony wasn't going to leave him there alone. The boys took deep breaths and began walking through the now eerily silent hotel. And as they made their way through the first hall, the feeling of eyes watching them sunk in. Jim, let's just call the city non-emergency line, man. They'll come in. They're trained. Jim snapped at Anthony. Jesus Christ, man, grow a backbone. They'll never help out a dying animal in a condemned building. As a matter of fact, they would probably just have us arrested for trespassing. Now, are you going to be a baby for every moment? Anthony gave Jim an angry look, but nodded his head as they quietly listened for the sound. And suddenly, a more distinct, dog-like bark radiated throughout the floor. It sounded like it was coming from one of the upper levels. The boys took the stairs up to the second floor and listened. They listened so closely at each bark to pinpoint the dog that they didn't even realize the dog sound was not getting any closer. After an ascension up one more flight of stairs, Anthony spoke up. Hey man, hold on. What now, sweetheart? Are you gonna— Shh! Anthony blurted out, covering Jim's mouth with his hand. Listen to it, Jim. Do you notice that? Notice what? Jim said, with all the confidence he had, fading in an instant. The barks. They're not getting any closer. We've gone up 2 flights of stairs. We should at least hear it getting closer, Jim. Anthony said, wide-eyed, face full of terror. The barking noises now, serving more as an ambient noise, grew more frequent. Like when it's a hot summer night and the crickets have lost control of themselves. As each bark rang out, the boys felt a shift in the air. The boys turned around to head towards the exit, down to the bottom levels, but were stopped dead in their tracks. Both boys went pale, gasping quietly. That is when they saw it. Up in the corner, where the wall meets the ceiling, there was a creature hugging the wall, facing away from the boys. The creature looked human from behind, a rather large back with scars running all over it. It was hairless. Its head looked bald. It was quietly breathing up in the corner of the room, being the only thing blocking the boys from sprinting through the door below. Jim, Anthony called. Jim, we gotta get out of here. We gotta be quiet. Jim didn't say a word. He was transfixed on the creature. Trying not to draw any attention, Jim nodded his head and took Anthony's hand as to lead him. The boys began taking baby steps towards the direction of the exit, until a sudden creak let out beneath their feet. On any other occasion, the creak would seem almost mute, but in this instance, the creak sounded like a stick of dynamite blowing. Both boys held their breath, and then within seconds, the creature hopped down from the ceiling and landed on all fours. As the creature stood up, time began to stand still. The creature stood there menacingly, with its back to the boys. Then a sudden barking sound emerged. It was the sound they had heard earlier, but now was going from a sweet dog to a distorted cry of anguish. As the hellish sound arose all around them, the creature turned Its face was indescribably horrid. Its jaw looked as if it was skeletal, with bits of human remains left over, barely hanging on for dear life. Its eyes were a glowing yellow. They were wide open, with only tiny dark black pupils gracing the center of them. The creature kept making that barking sound at the boys, almost taunting them, its teeth drenched with drool, looking like razor-sharp glass. It stopped barking. It took in a large breath of air, and within seconds, shrieked a terrible scream and went after the boys. The boys screamed and ran back towards the end of the hall. They ducked into a room, holding the door closed tight.
What the fuck is that?
Jim screamed.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We gotta get out of here,
Anthony exclaimed. The creature was now ripping parts of the door, banging very loudly and screaming, jumping from that barking to the terrible screech.
The window. We can jump off to the second floor balcony, and then down to the first,
Anthony said, trying to catch his breath. The clawing and noises died down a bit. Maybe the creature got tired, they thought. Anthony ran to the window, breaking it open. As Anthony looked down, he looked back at Jim, who was still holding the door shut for dear life.
On 3, I'll jump, and you follow, okay?
Anthony said. Jim nodded in agreement, tears filling his eyes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Anthony bursted through the rest of the busted glass and landed on the balcony of the second floor, nearly unharmed. As he immediately looked up, he saw Jim about ready to jump. As Jim leapt, he was suddenly being pulled back in.
Jim! Anthony! Please! Help me, please!
Screamed Jim. Then, in agony, Jim began wailing and screaming.
Jim! No!
Anthony screamed. All the sound from that third floor room went silent. Anthony knew he needed to get help. He jumped down to the base floor, running towards the street to call somebody, anybody, that would help. As he took one look back up into that cursed hotel, he saw something. The creature was waving from the window, with an enormous grin, almost as a bon voyage from the hotel. What really shook him to his core was the creature now had a normal-looking smile, minus the chipped tooth. In the following days, Jim's body was never recovered, and the entire area was dug up and searched before being promptly demolished. Jim was a great friend to Anthony, to everyone really. His smile lit up a room. No one ever believed Anthony when they told him the story. No one really understood how Jim went missing. No one really cared either. All anyone cared about was the new seaside mall they're putting in its place.